Thank you for that question. How are you changed, Charlie? I've never really asked, kind of asked you, but I'd love to hear it.
Well, it's interesting because I had never worked in documentary films before I moved to California. I was living in New York here for 5 or 6 years doing scripted narratives. And actually, I don't think you can get much further away. The big feature that I had worked on that was pretty successful was a romantic thriller about a serial killer who falls in love with a prostitute. So to go from that to Dalai Lama, there of course had to be a little bit of a journey. And part of it was making the switch as an editor from constructive editing, which is what narrative scripted films is much more like. You have your 5 or 6 takes of each moment, and you have your script, which is your blueprint, and you sort of work from moment to moment, building the edit, building the house, where documentary film editing is destructive editing, which is more akin to, I like to use the analogy of sculpting, where you have this huge block of marble and you have to kind of just start chiseling away at it until you finally start seeing what the story is underneath it. And then you can start polishing it and honing it and shaping it. And so the process up here is very, very different. So that was sort of part of the learning curve when I first started working with Kashar. And we worked on three or four different projects within the first couple of years. This one was just sort of the first one that came out of the gate, finished, the prison film and Forgiving Songs of Happiness. And another 1 or 2 in between. And once I'd sort of gotten the hang of, with my brain wrapped around how to edit a documentary as opposed to how to edit a scripted, then the next, possibly more important step was getting my heart wrapped around how you actually listen to footage differently and listen to sound bites and
feel the footage and feel as if the audience was going to.
Right, exactly. You have to put yourself as a proxy into somebody else's shoes and say, how does this affect me? How is it going to affect somebody else? And so the fact that we have spiritual practices outside of filmmaking in our everyday life certainly helps to inform that work that we do in the editing room. But it's a challenge to synthesize it all together into a cohesive wholeness that can be at once transformative for someone who doesn't have a spiritual practice as well. That can engage all people at all different levels.
Fantastic.